Yup.
Sweet.
Boom shakalaka.
Oh, back in the saddle. How you doing, my man?
Dude, exhausted, but but good.
I know when you text me at 8:00 at night with some images, I know you've been burning the midnight oil.
Dude. Well, it's like it's 100% my own fault, but like my next client is going to be the government of New Brunswick on how to streamline their fucking requirements for political.
Isn't the alcohol industry fun?
No, I don't enjoy I don't enjoy it whatsoever. I mean, it'll be fun like when it's done, and I'm sure like every time we do anything else after this, it'll be super easy.
Yeah.
But like poor Katie, I've been going back and forth with her. I'm like, is there any way like we could just tell us this in the beginning? She's like, nope, they change it more than Facebook. I'm like, awesome.
It is literally the definition of a moving target. That's what it is. And no two. That's the most frustrating part when you upload something to the government and one person tells you one thing and then you make an adjustment and then you re-upload it to the government and then that person tells you a completely separate thing. And oh, by the way, the stuff that was approved over here, none of that is right, and you got to go fix that too. So.
Oh, and by the way, do half of it in fucking French.
You're gonna be able to teach French by the time this is done.
Oh, dude, my grammar skills have been critiqued the last 4 days. Like you were like, do you know there's 4 different accents and stress marks in French?
I should know that because I took 4 years of it, but no, I don't even remember that.
One's a line going this way, one's a line going this way, one's like a little 2/3 of a triangle that means something completely different. But we're good.
Isn't there? What do they call that? The 2 dots? Aren't there the 2 dots too?
I'm not on these labels. There's not.
We haven't gotten any of those words.
No.
Oh man, it's been too long. What's the highlight? Give me the highlight over the last. Gosh, what's it been? 6 weeks?
Yeah. I mean, it's mainly just been like getting people onboarded and enrolling. I'm like 99% sure we officially have a new person starting next month. Rearranged the office a little bit. It's even cooler in here, if you can imagine that. Yep. Just pure chaos.
So you found somebody to work. That's a rarity these days.
It's a talent, you know. Well, no, I think it's like that's partly why we try to make it as cool as it is here, so it's easy to get people to come work. But well, it's tough because you have to like, especially for us, we're like in bizarro land as far as like hiring people, because like you don't have the skills yet to do this. Like you don't, so you can't really interview based on that. Like you literally just need to like find like good people that, dude, I've been drinking those too. They're delicious. Mm-hmm. I like the blueberry pomegranate ones.
This is the only one that they had, so I had to go with it. I'm not a huge fan of watermelon flavoring, but it is pretty good.
That lyrical lemonade would have fooled me.
Yeah. So, I gotta get you. Speaking of, I gotta get you some. It's incredible.
I can't wait to try it.
It's really good.
You've been promising me for 2.5 years.
I know. I'm a bad friend.
I have disco lemonade. I have 2 cans left.
I would not drink that.
No. One's the one that you signed though, so I'm keeping that.
Yeah, I still have that sitting right over there too. So I promised myself never to touch it, never ever to touch it. Of course, that one's 7 years old now, so it's probably turned into a science experiment at this point.
Yeah, I think one of them's like breathing at this point.
So are other clients still struggling to find people? How are they overcoming labor shortage? And I'm not going to get political and thoughts on that, but how are they overcoming that kind of stuff?
I think everybody, well, God willing, seems that it's starting to get better as far as people kind of getting back into the workforce and, kind of starting to build out staff a little bit. So that's great. And then I think a big part of it too, and like probably not super healthy for long-term physical, emotional, and mental health. But I think people have just gotten used to, filling in the cracks and working 80-hour weeks,
Yeah.
you know? So it's kind of a combination of both. And you can kind of see it on people's faces. We're like, hey, like, we got to kind of pump the brakes and like get reset and get like somewhat back to normal here. Cause like this shit ain't sustainable, man.
What'd you see when the kids went back to school? Did you see people downshifting at the end of August? Admittedly, I did the same thing, which was really healthy and needed. Are people ramped back up after the kids go back to school and schools are going and people are somewhat back to work? What are you seeing?
So I didn't really feel like a lot of downshift at all this year. I kind of had like a 4-day birthday weekend bender that was pretty much consistent of my downshifting this year. But it's weird because like that normal summer lull, like this year just coincided with everything else, like getting cranked back up, whatever you want to call it, summer ending or, various, unemployment benefits ending or, a combination of probably a half dozen things. But, from probably third week of August till now, it's kind of just been full steam ahead, and, again, not to dive like too deep into the pool of politics and stuff like that. But I think that a lot of businesses or organizations or schools are kind of operating with more confidence this year because the vaccine is out and it's so prevalent and it's so available.
Yep.
So it's kind of, and this is just, one man's impression of it. I feel like a lot of places are just like, like it is what it is. Like vaccines are out, and if you're vaccinated, dope. And if you're not, like, respect if you choose to roll the dice on that, but you're rolling the dice on that. So right. There's not so much like more like confidence that like, yep, it's over and we're good. But there's like acceptance of like, pretty much at this point, everybody's done everything they're going to do. So it's just kind of, do our thing and see what happens.
Are your clients bullish right now, or is everybody kind of still skeptical, or what have they learned? What did the summer teach them in terms of heading into the fall? There may or may not be, mask mandates or things like that, or is that just kind of just white noise at this point?
I think there's a lot of PTSD from the last 18 months. And I think that, everybody knows that shit can change very drastically, very quickly. So no one's getting like super bullish on going back. But at the same time, they also know that, sitting here and worrying about it or pontificating what might happen isn't doing anybody any favors. So it feels to me like everybody's coming to work trying to squeeze all the juice out of the orange that they can that day. And then do the same thing tomorrow. And then the day after that, and then the day after that. I don't know if it's just overwhelming, just optimism on our and our clients' ends, but I think fears of like another quote unquote shutdown are gone for like the similar reasons what we just talked about. But everybody remembers how hard that punch in the mouth hit 2 years ago. So I think no one's really taking it off the table either,
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it as a benefit in that the brands and the clients that I work with now understand that you have to be multifaceted. You can't just put your eggs in one basket. You can't just, roll out a TV ad anymore. You can't just, roll out a newspaper ad anymore. Like I just had this conversation an hour ago with one of the brands that I'm working with. And I'm doing a lot of business with GoPuff. It's that direct-to-consumer app where you download it, and at any point, at any market where they are, let's say Syracuse, because they are in Syracuse, you could open up the GoPuff app, and it's basically like Amazon Prime on steroids. So you open up the app and you say, I want 2 bags of Cool Ranch Doritos, I want a 12-pack of Body Armor, and I want 10-pack of Slim Jims. And it's delivered to your door in 24 minutes. Like it's literally like you're gonna have like a little smart car pull up. They may even do drone service at some point, like Amazon's doing in Liverpool. But for me, the strategy is like with one brand that I'm working on, we're looking at California very heavily because of the regulatory environment. So we're doing like traditional distribution there to be like, okay, grocery store, convenience, gas stations, those kind of things. Then we're layering GoPuff on top of it. And my client was like, wait a minute, why don't we just go with GoPuff and do direct to consumer? I said, think of it this way. If we had GoPuff and that infrastructure laid down 18 months ago, think about how that would have affected our brand. Like if you could open up an app and literally get like toilet paper delivered to your house in 24 minutes a year and a half ago, like it would have been $1 billion business. So I said, look at it this way. If I'm going to Wegmans and I want a 12-pack of, I'm staring at a 12-pack of Body Armor over there. If I want Body Armor and it's on my shopping list, chances are I'm going to pick it up. But if I'm sitting at home or my kids are sitting at home playing video games with their friends at 10:45 at night, and you have that sudden urge to have a blueberry acai Body Armor, they're going to open up GoPuff and it's going to be delivered at our house at 11. So it's those spontaneous occasions where somebody thinks about your brand and they're like, wait a minute, I have no patience right now, number one. Number two, if you run out of beer and you want more beer and you can't drive to the store, you're going to open up GoPuff at 10:30 at night and get that delivered. So my point is, it's all those other added occasions that we never really thought of that, wait a minute, I might be locked in my house for the next 4 months and literally not be able to go anywhere. I can't tell you how many times I ordered through Instacart through the pandemic. It was like the best thing ever. Like they literally leave your groceries in your refrigerator out in the garage, and then you bring it in after the person leaves. Like it was, I think I ordered like 77 times last year. So I think for me, it's been, my clients, at least just personally speaking, are super bullish, but they're bullish at many other things that we never would have considered before. And I love this, that we're operating in that space right now.
Yeah, I think that's been a massively valuable takeaway across the board. You know, I mean, we've seen it like with a bunch of people, like they're not a client necessarily, but like our friends, like at the coffee shop next door, like they're on, I mean, and they had online ordering before, like we've talked about them a bunch on the show, but like they have a whole separate register now just for online orders. Cause even though they've been back up and open and, you know, pretty normal over there, you know, for the better part of the last year, you know, that's a completely new value prop and a completely, probably not a completely new revenue stream, but a different way of getting customers to pay. That's going to be a huge part of their business going forward. You know, I was just in a meeting yesterday. We have a client with a massive, and I mean massive with a capital M, Facebook following. But, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, other platforms. You know, may or may not be a TikTok ad campaign coming soon, because that's just what life looks like now.
Yep.
You know, and we're going to be talking about TikTok ads, you know, 6 years from now, the way we talk about Instagram ads today. You know, 6 years ago, it's like you can run ads on Instagram. Like, so like the fact, I think that, you know, a lot of our clients are at least somewhat forward thinking in that realm. Like they wouldn't have hired us in the first place if they weren't. But I think that all of this has just accelerated that. It's going to be a huge part of their business going forward.
Oops, sorry.
Easy, bro.
Hit the wrong button.
But yeah, no, I think that part's been huge. I think people are far more bullish on innovation and trying new things today than they were in September of 2019, for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's the same conversation I have with my kids almost on a daily basis. Like, if you're not a doctor, you're going to be a doctor or an attorney or you know, a nurse or whatever. Like, you literally can do anything in this world and make money doing it. You can, as long as you have a passion for it, and as long as you build a community of like-minded people around you that are interested in the same kind of thing. You absolutely can monetize anything that you want. It's like, you know, get really good at doing TikTok ads. Taven has a buddy that he works out with. I love it that he works out with this kid. They played on the baseball team together last spring, and he graduated. His name's Bryce, and this kid is he's right up your alley. He's just a straight hustler is what this guy is. And what he learned how to do is he learned how to run Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok ads for real estate agents. So literally what he does is he'll charge a real estate agent sitting in his room. He'll charge a real estate agent like whatever, like $100 to do an ad of just like their listing on East Lake Road in Cazenovia. Like, and he'll do like 10 or 15 of them. And apparently he made like significant money his senior year. And he's like literally saving up for cash to buy his first house with cash. I'm like, that's the kind of kid that I want you hanging around with, and certainly, you know, trying to learn from. That here's a 17-year-old, 17-year-old kid that learned how to do something really well, found a marketplace of people that aren't traditionally technology savvy, and went in and said, yeah, I see value in what you're doing, but I don't want to do it myself. Here's $100 to go run a Facebook ad. It's like that, like you said, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that was never a thing. But he saw an opportunity in the marketplace and he took it. I'm like, that's kind of hustle I respect.
Yeah. And I think like the other thing that it's illustrated too is that I was just talking with my friends last night about it, especially like when you're running a small business like that. So real estate agent or restaurant or coffee shop or whatever. It's so, especially over the last year when staffing issues have been what they are, it's so easy to fall into the trap of working at the business instead of working on it. Absolutely. where you just don't leave that cocoon, and it's almost impossible to be paying attention to what's going on outside your four walls. Mm-hmm. And I think kind of what it showed people is, you know, just how fast customer behavior and customer actions are changing. Mm-hmm. You know, if you told somebody 3 years ago, you know, the importance of, you know, having online ordering capabilities on their website, they probably would have said, yeah, like whatever, that's cool, but like they'll just call, it's fine. Right. You know, not knowing that, you know, pretty much every individual under the age of 27 would rather go to the dentist than have to make a phone call and talk to another human. Yeah. You know, so just we talk about removing friction all the time. So just literally removing that friction of, you know, what does it take to call and order food? 45 seconds, mm-hmm. Maybe, mm-hmm. You know, but just the fact they can just go, great, it'll be ready in 20 minutes. Yeah. Has been game changing. Like I see it myself. Like I couldn't tell you the last time I got like two speeds. Either I'm going to like go to Burger Mondays and like have a beer at the bar while my food's getting made and then take it to go. Yep. Or literally I'm going to be on a call like my last 10 minutes and in the background order lunch. Like literally just did it with Lost Dog a half hour ago. You know, so I think that's kind of the other thing where, you know, your cross section of the business world that was waiting until a trend was here, you know, to act on it. Like like the ninth person that has a website for the restaurant because they saw 8 other people do it first. Mm-hmm. I think that you're seeing those people be like, oh shit, like it's different out there. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for some people it's fucking awesome. And it's super fun to watch. In our case, it's super fun to be a part of. But some other people, you're just like, what do you need to see to know that this is the right thing?
To your point, I bought my first 3 NFTs last week, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I've been reading. You know, I use that 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. hour of my day. I kind of call that like my splurge hour. Like that's my reward to myself, kind of for a hard day's work. I'll open up the laptop on the couch. You know, I'll have wrestling on or something stupid, and that's when I'll read. I'll try to consume. You know, what do I think is next? And I've been swimming kind of in this space a little bit with a buddy of mine, Mike, and he's going back. He's super into it. He's works with Gary Vaynerchuk, so he's super into it right now, and he's actually. Gary's sending all of his people to classes twice a day to learn about NFTs and crypto and digitizing assets and blockchain, et cetera. And it was just been super interesting because he and I have been talking about it quite a bit. And he sent me a link. He goes, hey, I'm buying these 3 NFTs. You know, do you want to buy them? I go, sure. So I go, how do I buy an NFT? Like, I have, like, number one, what is it? Number two, how do I buy it? It's like, oh, you got to go do this and do a crypto wallet, and you got to download this. I'm like, okay, fine. So you plug your credit card number in, and you buy crypto, and you buy ETH, and then you convert it, and then you buy these 3 things. And anyway, the point is, they are 3 college seniors. There was only 1,500 of each of them that were minted. So you mint the NFT. So I got like number like 670. The top rated prospect in the NFL. He's projected to go number 1 overall next spring. He's the cornerback from Ohio State, and I, of course, can't even remember his name right now. But so I bought one, and it says, okay, your NFT will be deposited into your digital wallet, you know, within 24 hours. And so I was taking a walk the other day. I'm looking at it, and I'm just studying it. And so I went back and I texted my buddy. I go, what did I just buy? Like literally, what did I just buy? He goes, let me explain this to you in a very easy way. He goes, you play Fortnite, right? I go, yeah, we play Fortnite. I played last night. New season, it's fun. He goes, you buy skins to put on your character in Fortnite, right? I go, yeah. He goes, all an NFT is a skin, but then you own it and you can wear that skin on different planets. So if you go to like the Nike planet, which is being built right now, it's like this whole Web 3.0 thing that's happening. So instead of going to a website like Nike.com, you're going to be immersed as your own avatar into Nike world. And you're going to be able to, you know, drive your digitized NFT Jeep, and you're going to be able to wear your, you know, you're going to be able to wear your digitized sneakers. You're going to be able to wear all these things on this planet. I go, okay. He goes, what you just bought it's a flex. You just flexed that you bought one of the first 1,500 of this guy's NFTs that you're going to be able to show, and it's going to be public on the blockchain anywhere you go. And what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to resell that, and then you could actually put a commission on there where you get 10% of every time that NFT gets resold. So if you can imagine Michael Jordan, on all of his new sneakers, he's putting a 10% royalty on all of his new digital sneakers, so that every time it gets resold by somebody like my son, he's going to get 10% of those royalties. So for me, it was like, those are the times that I'm trying to learn is you know, blockchain and crypto and NFT. Oh, NFT is my mother's asking, it's a non-fungible token. So it is something that you cannot physically hold. It's a digitized asset that gets put into a digital wallet, basically. So you can take this and you can show it, you can sell it, etc. The point of my saying that was, that's my 80-20. That's the 20% that I'm spending time on right now. That throughout the day, it's my current client base. But who knows what NFT, and I'm actually working on a technology project with a client that is NFT and crypto based. It's tasting all of that other stuff, and practicing what you and I always preach is, you know, pay your bills with the 80%, but take a flyer on that 20%. I'm really into this digital stuff now. It makes sense to me now, and I really enjoy it because it's fun, it's cutting edge, and it has very, very high upside. So for me, it's always trying to do those 2 things.
Just another thing that I got to learn how to try to explain to people. I'm very excited.
I still don't use TikTok. So I jumped over TikTok and went right to NFTs.
I was going to say, that's a fucking leap, brother. No, I mean, it's all super interesting stuff though, you know, and I think, like, to me, the most fun part of all of it is just kind of like sitting back and watching. Right. Because I think, like anything, like when there's like any kind of mad rush to a new thing, like 99% of them are probably going to be hot garbage.
Yep.
Right. But like 1% is going to be like life changing.
Yep.
And to just like watch how that unfolds, and, you know, from like always like looking at stuff like a marketing perspective, like, how is the storytelling different around the 1% versus the 99? it's not too dissimilar from 6 or 7 years ago. Everybody thought they were going to be a social media marketer, and we're going to be a social media expert, and we're going to tell you the 6 keys on how to build a marketing strategy that creates 8-figure brands when I've never fucking done it before. Like, and like I look at like the storytelling around the ones of those that didn't flame out versus the ones that are still here. And you can see it. It's like, it was social media. It was, CBD and cannabis. It's, crypto and NFTs now. So I guess for me, like, it's just, I haven't like fucked with any yet, but it's just super fun and super interesting to watch. Like the amount of people where you're like, dude, just stop talking. Like, you sounding like an idiot versus like the people that are like more kind of like understated about it. And it's like, yeah, well, this is pretty cool. This is what we're doing. And you're like, fuck, like they got it right. It's super interesting to watch that kind of stuff. Cause it's the same exact pattern every time.
Right.
Like the end product or service is always different, but everything around it is identical. It's the same movie over and over and over. Like AC/DC, they've written the same song 3,900 times, but it's fucking awesome every time. That's what I feel like with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just sitting back, like my cousin is like starting to get super into it, and he'll like text me at like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, dude, just slow down. He's like, if this keeps like pacing the way it is, I'm like, it's 13 hours old. You have no clue how it's pacing. You're not going to retire off this NFT, but like, do you, bro?
Yeah, no, it feels, I'm going to show my age for a minute. It shows, it feels very much like my junior year of high school, 1994, where you went to the computer lab to do computer stuff. That was like one of your classes. You went to the computer lab, and the teacher stood up there and said, okay, we're all going to create our own email addresses today. Like that, like literally that was the class. And I remember it was like a 10-page manual about how to create your own. Okay, here's the website. Here's the http://www.yahoo.com. That was my first. It was a Ben Riley at Yahoo. I still have it. Ben Riley at Yahoo.com. And it was a 10-page instruction manual. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I got nothing. No, go on.
But it was literally Ben Riley at Yahoo.com. And the very first email was, I had to send it to my professor, to my teacher. His name was San Germano. So I had to send an email to Mr. San Germano, and then he sent me a reply. And that was my first experience with email, 1994. Fast forward to 2007, late 2007, I got an invitation from one of my best friends, Scott Baldwin, who was on the Facebook. So he sent me this invitation from Princeton, because he was at Princeton University at the time.
Yep.
So the Facebook started on college campuses, if you've seen the movie, obviously. So he sent me this invitation to connect with him on the Facebook. And I'm like, what the hell is the Facebook? So I logged on and I saw a picture of him with his wife, Rachel, and you could trade pictures and comment. You could update your status. Like, that was the first thing I remember. I'm like, you could update your status. I'm like, what? I'm looking around the room like, what status do I have? Like, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm walking, like, I had no idea. But this feels very much like, if that was like Web 1.0 and then the Facebook was Web 2.0, it was very much like Web 3.0. Like, that's where that's where I think this is all going, is instead of Nike.com, you put on the Facebook glasses, because literally that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like sunglasses or VR headsets or something. And you're going to be interacting with other people on the Nike planet. So instead of driving to Destiny and walking into the Nike store, you're literally driving your digital Jeep up to the Nike store and shopping for digital sneakers to add onto your avatar. Like, that's literally where I see this, and as it's been explained to me, is going. And that's why I'm spending a little bit of time doing it. I actually have my daughter helping me on this one project. She's actually doing some artwork and some sketches for us that we're going to apply into a world, which I'm not supposed to talk about too much yet. But that's where it's going. And that's why I'm tasting things like that, because I do want to know if we're going to be advertising, if there's going to be a billboard for a beverage brand inside the Nike store in 24 months, I want to understand how that Nike store was being built so I can leverage those eyeballs to put my client's brand or my own partner brand on that billboard while you're shopping for Nike digital sneakers. So yeah. I think that's why I'm spending so much time on it. Number one, I know it's coming, but number two, it's really cool and fun, and I just like to read about
it. Well, like the other thing, and I think it's one of the big things that's like holding a lot of people back from trying to dive into like the whole NFT crypto type pool, is like that's just like one of 100 million things that it can do. Right. You know, it's really like, you think like it's almost like you say like Web 3.0, but it's like it's similar to like the internet. Yeah. Like what can you do with the internet, right? Like you can talk to your friends, you can order food, you can look things up, you watch a movie that you used to have to go pay $13 to watch in a theater. Like what can't you do with it? And I think that, you know, NFT and like the whole like crypto space is going to be the same. Like you're talking about, you know, these kind of, you know, alternate reality avatar type ecosystems. And it's not hard to see how that translates. But it's really just like a way to create things that carry value and hold value to people.
Yep.
And like anytime you could do that, like that's a whole economy in itself. Like that's what economies are. You know, it's just like the money we make is just a symbol of us exchanging value with somebody else.
Right.
You know, yeah. Like, yeah. And so like you have that exact same situation, but it's all digital. It's, you know, trading cards 40 years ago, but it's just, it lives on your computer right now. It's people that flip Jordans and Air Force Ones and Yeezys, like, but it did like, it's almost like every single like community or economy or industry or whatever that exists in the real world, like you're going to have a mirror for that, where it's everything. It's way easier to communicate. It's way easier to get access to people. Everything's way easier and way like that. You know, like he probably doesn't care. I'm talking about like Dave's trying to buy a house right now. And we talked about it yesterday, me and you. You may know something about this. And it's a fucking process and a half just to dot your I's and cross your T's after all the heavy lifting's done, right? Meanwhile, you want to buy an NFT mansion for your avatar to live in? Great. That's going to be X number of Ethereum coin. Boom, done.
Can I tell you, on top of how long it took because I'm self-employed, which is another discussion that I blew up on Adam yesterday, but now that I've had some chance to decompress from that discussion, do you know how annoyed I was as a 44-year-old dude? How annoyed I was when I got the email to say, "All right, you're cleared to close." I go, "Great." I go, "Are you going to send me DocuSign? Are you going to like what? Are you going to get?" She goes, "No, you got to come into Syracuse and sit down at a conference table and sign things." I go, "What?" I go, after it's 2021, number one. Number two, we're still in a pandemic. Number three, we're not supposed to be, you know, doing extra things that we're not supposed to be doing. I go, you can't tell me that we couldn't do this remotely. There's no way. And of course we signed, you know, it was just like you did. Have you bought a house before, or have you done anything like a real estate or anything like that yet?
The Jeep would probably be the closest thing. I gave out a lot of autographs that day.
So you sit down with a stack of papers,
Yeah.
and the person explains it and says, okay, this is your cooling off period. And if you decide to not fund the loan, this is what this, and this is what this is. And this is what,
The little
I'm
piece of scotch tape with the colored tab on it where all the signed here things are.
yes. And I actually asked her, I go, so none of this could have been done sitting at home. And she's like, no, this is just one of our requirements. I'm like, oh my God. Like, but my point is the reason that the NFT and all these things, the reason I'm thinking about it is because this is a world that my kids are going to be growing up in. And the best explanation that Mike told me, he goes, you play video games. I go, yes, I love video games. I have since I was 6 years old. He goes, so you play video games with your kids? I'm like, no, they're too cool for me now. I don't play with my kids. I play with my boys. He goes, that's precisely my point. He goes, the digital sneaker to Taven and Paige is going to be around for 30 years. They're going to be interacting with their kids on the blockchain, trading sneakers. That's what their world is going to look like. So the fact you are the exact, meaning me, he was telling me, he goes, you just proved my point. You're the first generation of parents to play video games with their kids. They're going to be the first generation of kids that are going to be trading sneakers with their kids, when they become parents. So that was the unlock for me. I was like, he's exactly right. They're going to grow up they're going to grow up. I don't know if you saw this. Go back to the Carolina Panthers Twitter last Sunday. They were the first NFL team to, they called it unleash augmented reality.
I saw it.
Did you see it?
Yep. It
was incredible. So they had the Panther that came down onto the field and ripped the Jets flag from it. Yep. And it just literally shredded it apart. So 5 years from now, we're going to be sitting at the Dome. We're going to be watching a basketball game, and in between plays, they're going to have augmented video game. They're going to have augmented video games. It's going to be Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen against Kobe and Shaq playing a video game during a timeout at the Carrier Dome. Like, that is coming, and that's what's going to happen. So for me, it's super exciting because I can enjoy it now as I'm learning the process. And I'm actually spinning up a little bit of business doing it this way. I'm working with a tech group in San Francisco that are doing some cool things. We'll talk about it as I'm able to, but it's all about that tasting, man. I view the 20% as I view the 20% as a reward for doing the 80%. That's what I do. And that's just a system that works for me. And it's just fun. It's just fun, man.
That's a really great way to say it, actually. So I think a lot of times people want to start with the 20 because it's fun, and then I'll do the 80 later. Becomes like the 20 and like the 15 after that.
Yep.
But dude, you're spot on. And, especially we're not in the same industry, but the conversations get very similar. But, a lot of the shit that, was the 20 for us 2 or 3 years ago, people just look at you different because, in their eyes, you're an expert on shit that's, not even been delivered yet.
Right.
And it's that stuck out to me yesterday. I was in a meeting with a client, and we brought up 2 or 3, some of the shit that we've talked about, I don't know if it's on the show or offline, but like Waze advertising and, TikTok's ad product and, just being knowledgeable about that, it creates so much more value for yourself, short-term and long-term. And you don't know when it's going to pop, but, that's where even not for yourself, right away, dope. If you could spin some business up off of it, awesome. Even if it's just something that's just genuinely fun for you and release a little bit of that dopamine at the end of the day. That's amazing. But it also it makes you so much more well-rounded of a business person and just a human in general, where just a rising tide lifts all boats. And it's just one of those things that I don't know, it makes everything better. And then it almost becomes like addicting, right? So like how are, you know, NFTs and crypto going to apply to KBL clients like 4 years from now? Like, I don't know,
Right.
you know, but like shit is just developing at a rate where like even me and you don't fully comprehend it, not even close. Like like some of the shit that even people are paying us for now, like did not exist 36 months ago. Like, I'm not talking wasn't popular. I'm not talking wasn't widely known and accepted. I mean, it physically did not exist. Like, if you got any time machine and you went back 3 years, nothing.
Yep.
And just like knowing that and like carrying that into work every morning, like, how do you not spend 20% of your time fucking with new shit?
Yeah. Yep. I'll tell you how it's going to apply. As you were talking, I was just thinking about this. And it's the local pizza place that for its 10th anniversary, whatever, some occasion, it creates 5 unique digital tokens, NFTs, for a pizza a week for the rest of your life. And they put it up for auction. And it's starting bids $1,000. So, and then they put a 10% royalty on it. So if somebody goes and sells it for $2,000, they get $200 extra dollars when that resells. And they only do 5 of them. They sell 5 NFTs to get a free pizza. Maybe it's once a month, whatever. I don't care. It's you get my point. A free pizza once a month for the rest of your life from this place. That's how it's going to play out. Same thing with the burger place. A free burger once a week for the rest of your life. Starting bid $2,500. I bet you somebody would pay that somewhere, sometime. I don't know what the number is. I don't know if it's $2,500. I have no idea what the number is. It could be $500. It could be less than that. But I'm saying that's where, you know, and I'm having the same discussion with my clients now. It's like, you know, so you work with, you know, to take a Cole Bennett and Lyrical Lemonade, where he's working on an NFT project right now, but it's access to Cole Bennett. Like, one of the NFTs is spend a day with Cole, like in the office, like learn how to edit videos like Cole. And he's going to like literally show you like how to edit videos, things like that. So there are experiences that are tied to these things. There could be physical goods that are tied to these things. I like you said, I'm just barely beginning to, you know, scratch the surface when it comes to understanding this stuff. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's getting out ahead of the curve so that when the majority of the population does skate to where the puck is going, and which eventually becomes where the puck is, like, I'm pretty darn knowledgeable about this space, and we can potentially spin it up for either yourself or your business. That's always good strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a replay of all the shit that we always talk about. You know, like this is just the next thing,
right?
In 10 months from now, it's going to be the next thing, and you know, and it's just like we talk about it a lot. You know, like where do you want to go, right? Like, do you want to, you know, just keep making your comfortable salary owning your pizza place, or like, do you want like your grandchildren to continue to run it 60 years from now? You know, and like, if you just want to like retire and cash out and like hit like Fort Myers, like, great. Then you just keep slinging your pizzas and you could ignore the rest of the show. But like to your point, like, if you want your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' kids' kids to be involved and, you know, have your business be something that's going to be relevant to them and like the next wave of customers, like, this is shit you got to look at, you know. And like, it always sounds like when the new thing comes out, it always sounds so goofy and so silly and not worth your time until it isn't. Right? Like, Facebook was this dumb little thing just for college kids. You sent each other bumper stickers that were just little silly things, right? And then like Instagram's like just people taking pictures of their food. And then like, why would I ever need that? Now it's the biggest communication tool you've ever seen. Right? So like right now it's like, oh, I'm going to buy an NFT of like a JPEG image. Like, I can just Google it. Like, what am I going to need that for? Well, that very narrow-minded view of it probably not much. But, you know, when it's basically literally a whole separate economy layered right next to the one that you're used to, which like very much has that potential. Like I'm not even remotely ready to like even try to speak knowledgeably about it. But like that's the kind of shit you're talking about. Like I have a cousin that's like super into crypto, and like for as much as like people like to talk shit about like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of that stuff, like if you look at like the shit that like the cash in your pocket is based on, like it is way less advanced and thought out than a lot of this stuff, man. And you know, so I just, like anything, like people just, they always underestimate it until it's right in front of their face. And I think that this case specifically, it's so far reaching, and it literally has like limitless potential. And just, it's going to be a really fun 3 to 5 years to watch, because I just think that anytime you have a tidal wave of that much potential that hits shore as fast as it's probably going to, there is either going to be beautiful or destructive carnage that comes as a result of it. And I got a pretty good feeling how you spend your 20% is going to have a pretty big impact on which side of that wave you're on.
I'll tell you, I'll finish with a final story. I got to run for it too. We were on our way back from Chicago this summer. Taven brought his best friend out. We had a just bros weekend. It was just incredible. And we were on the plane back. It was like a late Monday night. We were in Washington having dinner, and it was at that moment that, like, Taven's he's not a huge, you know, talker. He never has been, or at least an initiation of a discussion. But he started asking me questions about like what I do, and like how the Lyrical project like almost didn't come to pass because we had a co-packer fall through at the last minute. It was really stressful. And so we started asking questions like, well, how did you solve that problem and what'd you do? So I just kind of explained it through the whole process. And that was like the first time, like other than trying like Juice WRLD's Fruit Punch, or other than trying like Watermelon Lemonade from Lyrical, or other than trying like other stuff, like both kids really haven't expressed much of an interest. But we were sitting in the airport, and he started asking like technical questions about how I solved this thing. And that was like the first time, because we had just gotten back from backstage and at Summer Smash, like it was really cool. And he started asking these questions, and that was like the first time I felt as though I'm like, like, wait a minute, like maybe he's starting to think about these things. Maybe he's starting to think about getting into, you know, the family business, or, you know, slinging pie, you know, next generation slinging pies and those kind of things. So for me, it's all about just letting my kids taste things too, not just me, but like I showed the kids, I'm like, hey, I bought my first NFT. And they're like, really, Dad? And I'm like, yeah, like here's my first token. And they're like, okay, cool. It didn't, you know, then that was it. But for me, it was just having those different experiences to show them that there are so many different things you can do. There are so many different things that you can get into. And I love that they are growing up in this world. I know there's so many drawbacks. I get it with social media and all these kind of things, TikTok, you know, whatever. But there's so much good that can come out of it. You know, like blockchain, just like that's a perfect analogy. Blockchain, Bitcoin, crypto, you know, it's this exact same thing as the internet. If you choose to use the internet for good, guess what? You're going to get good out of it. If you choose to use the internet to hack into government computers, you're going to get in trouble. It's going to be the same thing with blockchain. You know, like who's going to be the first real estate agent that wants to transact on the blockchain and buy and sell a house on the blockchain? Like that's going to happen, you know? So you're right. It's just amazing to me that no matter what we talk about, it comes back to the same 5 things. It is no matter what it is. I don't care if you're, so literally there's going to be a position. There's somebody or somebodies that is a team of people that are working on augmented reality for the Carolina Panthers in the National Football League. Like literally that is somebody's job today, working on that. Can you imagine 5 years ago if somebody had said that to you? Yeah, we're gonna have a digitized panther jump into the stadium and rip up the other team's flag, and everybody's gonna go nuts and see it. Like, it's just amazing to me how what sort of opportunities and how fast things are moving.
It's gonna be a hell of a time, man.
Hell of a time. Hell of a time. Well, hey, I have absolutely no idea what season or episode this is. You can tell me.
No idea.
Feels good to be back, my man.
Season 2, episode something.
Episode something. So there you go. So a little bit scattered brain today, but we knew it was going to be tough to get back in the saddle. So there you have it. It is what it is.
Hey, we'll take it. Those are always the best episodes anyway.
Hey, have a great weekend. We're finally having summer here in Syracuse. It only took September to bring on summer. So there you go.
I'm ready for fall, I think.
I'm putting the boat back in on Sunday. I got to burn some fuel. It's disgusting how little fuel I've burned this summer. So
get on it, sister.
Facebook, we love you. If you're watching or listening afterwards, walking the dogs, we appreciate you as always.
See you. I missed that.